Now I can then use that 90 fold as a sort of locking seam to get the two pieces together. A little fiddly, but it does work with a bit of perseverance. Like that, good. Now, you see it's quite good there. Now next thing I need to look about the size. Now I was planning on it being 180 overall, but then thinking about having slopes and such, I'm going to aim at 190. Not a 185. I think I'll just double check that. I think 185 is what I'm probably going to be aiming. That's the highest point of the building. Yeah, 185. That'll be good enough. That's fine. Right, now what I'm going to do is put a bead of silicone and pop them together. Now as I'm using silicone in this joint, drill first. That way you can get rid of any iron filings out of the joint, out of the gap, before you add the silicone. Your silicone first, obviously your iron filings are going to stick to your silicone and cause gaps. Now with pot rivets on this job, I'm using majority about 4.8 gauge. Length is 10mm going up to around 28-30mm. I've done a couple of smaller ones, but mainly 4.8 gauge. Now I'm just doing one pot rivet point on each side of this for now. The second point I'll leave, and because I will be joining that strip to the next board, so I need to keep it clear. Or if I end up not doing, then I can do it at that point. But so it's not in my way, I'll leave that bit until later. See, it's quite easy just getting these pot rivets in. You get the right size ones, they snap off quite quickly. You do a good job of holding this material together. And then I'm just putting a couple of clips on the edges of these seams to hold them together while the silicone dries. And that is my first footlight piece. And here's where it goes. Just like that. Perfect. Now just to clarify on the size of these sheets, they are actually 1.3 metres tall, 5.45 wide. And as I want the shed to be 1.85 tall, I will be cutting quite a few of the sheets in half and joining them. Meaning I'll get 2 sheets out of every 3, which is enough for what I need. Now I'm using the same saw steel blade setup that I used when I was doing my steel conservatory roof, if you remember watching that video. If you don't, then please go watch it. Now when it comes to assembling these panels, these single panels, in some cases, like in this one I'm doing here, I found it very convenient that the manufacturers had actually drilled holes for whatever reasons they want to do, which I lined up very nicely for the size I wanted. So it meant initially I had a couple of holes I didn't have to drill. So I got straight on with silicone in it and pot riveting these 2 particular boards together. Now again, pot rivets, just to remind you, I'm using the 4.8mm gauge ones. In this case 10mm long, which was more than enough. The edges of the boards you don't want to be putting pot rivets in at this point, because again they're going to be joining to other boards, so you need to be aware of that all the way through, where you're putting the pot rivets and is it going to connect to something else, where you've got your framework, your supports, where it's joining to others, where it's fitting to the roof, all these type of things. You need to be thinking ahead when you're making it, because we've got no plans, so we have to work it as we go. Now I start to assemble the walls. I'm needing two main wall sections. One that will attach to that corner piece that I made. That'll be a long one, and I'll need 3 of these upright panels. The other is just 2. It'll be the front of one of the sheds. I'll need 2 of the upright panels. So I get them assembled together first, again gluing down and pot riveting all the way down the seams that I didn't pot rivet before, because I knew I was going to be connecting. But this is where it's now starting to come together. We're starting to get size and structure to it all very exciting. Now, when I was setting out to do this shed originally, I searched everywhere to try and find materials to use, various different materials to use, and the steel was one of the hardest ones to come across, because I kept being referred to companies that sold steel for buildings, like big apartments, big factories, etc. So everything came in big bulk and heavy duty and very expensive, and they sold it in big jollops. And that was where I was almost going to give up on the idea of steel, until I came across this type that I've got here, which I got from Amazon. A box of 12, like I've already said. Cost just under, and I mean just, £80. So £79.99 sort of thing. Just under 80 quid. Now it's time to start sizing and shaping these panels. Like this one, which is the 3-panel piece. I didn't need 3 panels, I needed 2.5, say, panels, so I've got to cut it down the length. There'll be no waste, that other off-cut will get used for the other corner. And then cutting in door shapes and such things like that. It's an easy job if you've got the tools to do it. You do need a saw with a steel blade. You can't be doing this with things like tin snips or hacksaw or anything like that. You need a saw. But I think you'll find most battery saws, you can get a blade that will cut this steel. You just got to have a look around for your sizes. Now at the beginning of this video, I showed you an easy way in which we can fold this stuff. That is not always possible. In this case, I only needed a 4-inch 100mm 10cm piece folded, and it would not do it. It's just too difficult. So what I did here is I had a scrap piece of heavy gauge 6mm steel plate, which I used to weight down the board, the sheets of thin steel, so that I could bend against it, and that seems to be working this way. And this is just to form another corner that I'll be having against the wall, as you will see. Now I'm starting to form one of the doorways. Now the doors are only going to be 165 high. It's just a standard size height for this type of shed. I took measurements off of the shed I've got, and I'm basing it on that. I need to have runners running along the top above the doors, and that's got to be allowed for. So we need it to be a little bit higher than the doors. So I cut this, and then I can then fold what's left to give me a nice clean, non-sharp edge. Because it's a doorway, we're going to be going through it. You don't want this stuff sharp, and it seems that whenever you cut it, it's very sharp. So the best bet is to just fold it over and then file off the edges. And it gives you a nice safe edge.
Okay, that's out.
Yeah, that'll be better. That'll be better, 2 pages. For the corners, what I'm using is this shelving kit that I got. It comes with these very nice shiny aluminium corner pieces, half-side ones, but it also gives me these as well, the cross pieces of the shelving, which, if you can imagine, if I double them up and then pop rivet them through the body of the steel, it's going to strengthen the steel sheet up tremendously. And I've got lots of them, and short ones as well. So, lots of bits and bats I got with that, but I only bought it for these things. Now, when assembling these, there's a little tip to assembling them, to make them so they're a little bit better, a little bit stronger than what they normally are, normally expected to be when you just shove them together. Putting them together like you do there, as normal, tap them down. Make sure it's fully home. Get the next one. And again, tap it down, and it's not going. Now it's gone. There we go. Tap it down to make it go. Home, nice and easy, nice and firmly. Trouble is, it can slide back out again. So what you want to do, if you can do this permanent, which most shelving you're going to use, you don't even want to take that out again. Take that bit and bend it up. Get your hammer. Bend it down. Do the same with the other one. Be careful, they're not easy to start to get hold of and you might slip. So be careful what you're using for the job. Then when you've done that, making sure it stays tightly together, put it onto a flat surface, a hard flat surface, like the steel, turn down again, and on the steel, like the steel of your vise, and flatten that out completely. And the next one, keep it up. You see, that's nice and flattened in. Do it with the other side. And there you are. It's not going to come apart again. What wobble, what twist, what anything. It's good and solid. Same piece of kit, just to put a little bit more effort in when assembling it. That's all. Now this is where I'm starting to form the first corner, which is being connected to the longest of the wall panels. Again, I'm just glue and pop rivet it together, running down the full length. In this instance, when you're doing full height, avoid top and avoid bottom, because they're going to probably attach to some kind of a bracket, or it might attach to the roof panels or something that would be in your way. So avoid going too close to the bottom or too close to the top. Now for them corner brackets that I've just put together from the shelving, you'll see here is the first example of what I'm using it for. This is across the bottom of the wall, and it will attach the wall to the floor, as well as make the wall more rigid. I'll pop rivet to this, and then it'll be just a little bit proud of the seal, and it'll sit on the floor, the concrete floor, and be drilled down to the floor, anchoring it all together and to the floor. And here again, another piece of this corner bracket, this time to go around the corner, strengthening the corner part. Now the other point with this bit is that I can then also pop rivet the two together, forming a perfect 90-degree angle, giving me a nice good square corner, as you'll see. Corner piece. Give it some extra strength. And I think that's about as far as we want to go in this video. So, thanks for watching, and come and see it again in the next video. Bye for now.